Martin Scorsese is an American filmmaker. With a career spanning 7 decades, the Oscar-winning director and writer is considered one of the most celebrated and influential figures in Hollywood.
With the new technology and the new generations and younger people seeing the world in a different way, that cinema will evolve itself into a new form, and that's up to the younger people.
He has built a legacy working with legends, but not every collaboration ends in harmony. In fact, some don't even make it to the set. He likes working with like-minded people or people exploring certain areas he wants to explore.
As far as taking risks at this age, what else can I do?
Behind the scenes, Scorsese's reputation is just as formidable as his meticulous process. These are the top 6 actors Martin Scorsese hates the most. Starting at number 6, we have Mark Wahlberg.
Well, I was a little pissed about a couple things, but look, it all worked out in the end.
Mark Robert Michael Wahlberg, formerly known by his stage name Marky Mark, is an American actor, producer, and former rapper. His work as a leading man spans comedy, drama, and action, which has earned him multiple awards. Working with Martin Scorsese was a privilege, but for Mark Wahlberg, it was a bit complicated. They both had a fallout in the 2006 movie, The Departed, where Wahlberg was cast as Staff Sergeant Dignam, a loud character. They were meant to shoot in just a couple of weeks, but something happened. Wahlberg had just returned from the shoot of the movie Invincible, with his hair extensions still on. Scorsese saw them and was not quite pleased with them. He was pissed. Wahlberg revealed how, even though he wasn't committed to making the movie, his agent told Scorsese that he was. When the filmmaker contacted him to voice enthusiasm over their upcoming collaboration, the actor was unhinged. "Marty called me up, and he was so excited about making this movie together," he shared. "I said, I'm not doing the movie."
And then they were like, oh, you got to take out the extensions. I was like, shit, took 8 hours. I'm not taking this out. So we had a couple of issues, but you know.
It created issues between Wahlberg and Scorsese, which Wahlberg admitted to on a podcast. Scorsese needed him to cut his hair, but Wahlberg was not having it. "Marty and I were constantly in this struggle. I had problems with Marty," Wahlberg admitted. "I was only supposed to do a couple of weeks on The Departed, so I was able to grow my hair for Invincible. But then the schedule changed, and 4 months later, I'm still working on The Departed so I wouldn't cut my hair, and Marty was pissed off." When Scorsese told him the haircut was becoming increasingly necessary, Wahlberg's succinct response was that, "I don't give a f***." His follicular torment saw him turn his ire towards the rest of the ensemble, too, with the actor remaining in character the whole time and becoming mad at everybody as a result. It sparked a clash between them, and it shook the set. Scorsese wanted everyone to fall into character, no exceptions. The movie won Scorsese his first Best Director Oscar, and Wahlberg earned his only Academy Award nomination. In Scorsese's world, obedience, loyalty, and precision were core values and were non-negotiable. Their relationship never blossomed after the movie. No future collaborations, nothing. A minor hair issue led to a full-blown feud. It was a silent bridge burned. No noise, no public scandal, and that was the end for them. Moving on to number 5, we have Julia Roberts.
Have you ever worked with a guy who is just a horrible person?
Yes, yeah.
Julia Fiona Roberts, an American actress known for her leading roles across various genres, has received multiple accolades, including an Academy Award, a British Academy Film Award, and 3 Golden Globe Awards. She came into the limelight with the romantic comedy Mystic Pizza. At the height of her fame in the 1990s, she was to play the role of Countess Ellen in the movie Age of Innocence. The movie was based on a book by Edith Wharton, but it never made it to the screen. Scorsese, who was particular about detail and precision, took an interest in Roberts' charisma. She had a quality that attracted him. However, as time went by, Scorsese's expectations and Roberts' acting began to differ.
I did one time work with a person, zip.
Scorsese needed his actors to be focused and fully committed to the role. He was crafting a period drama, buttoned up and shrouded in historical detail. The movie required strict adherence to the period being portrayed. It involved corset dressing, speech patterns, and body language of the 1970s. It was a challenge for Roberts, who was used to a different acting style, romantic comedy, fast-paced, intuitive performances. She even questioned the need for such restrictive clothing during a costume fitting, stating that it restricted her breathing.
I figured that it had to be a picture where you could have these characters go through a real breath.
For Scorsese, it was the detailing that mattered. How the character was being portrayed with precision. The authenticity of the period was non-negotiable. In a 1993 interview, Scorsese said he needed actors who could understand repression without overplaying it. He didn't think Roberts could fit into that. While Roberts wanted flexibility, Scorsese wanted historical precision. She even went as far as questioning some of the dialogue choices, and Scorsese knew he just couldn't deal anymore. During an interview with a Hollywood Reporter, Roberts spoke of a director who insisted that she not breathe properly, just to understand the character. Though she didn't mention names, it was clear to whom she was referring. Roberts eventually withdrew from the project, and the role was eventually recast by Michelle Pfeiffer, whose performance was widely praised. Just like that, the collaboration was dead before it even lived. Roberts and Scorsese's issue was a clear example of two professionals at odds. They never worked together again. Although there was no public fallout, he did not dislike her person, but her process did not just align with his, and Scorsese was not willing to compromise. Sometimes, silence is a sign to go in a different direction, just like Roberts and Scorsese. Speaking of silent endings, on number 4, we have Winona Ryder.
I mean, in those dresses, you literally can barely breathe.
Winona Laura Horowitz, known professionally as Winona Ryder, is an American actress. Having come to attention playing quirky characters in the late 1980s, she achieved success with her more dramatic performances in the 1990s. Ryder's many accolades include a Golden Globe, as well as nominations for 2 Academy Awards, a BAFTA Award, and a Grammy Award. In the early 1900s, she was at the top of her game. Coming off films like Heathers and Edward Scissorhands, she was one of the most outstanding young talents in Hollywood, so Martin Scorsese decided to cast her in Age of Innocence. Ryder and Scorsese clashed on the set of the movie when she played the role of Mae Welland, a character meant to embody innocence, restraint, and control. For Scorsese, every action was everything. Every gesture should be precise, and every act should be according to the script. For Ryder, who has thrived on quirky and emotionally expressive roles, the new change in character was new. She struggled to connect with the character, and she later admitted in an interview that she didn't fully understand Mae. If one thing is glaring, it's that Winona Ryder's career took a sharp turn after she played Mae Welland in The Age of Innocence. She was formerly known for more quirky, rebellious on-screen personas like Veronica in Heathers and Lydia in Beetlejuice. With her interpretation of Mae, she showed audiences that she could be layered and subtle all in one. On the surface, her character was a devoted wife, but beneath all that sweetness was a strategic and calculative mind that added twist after twist to the storyline.
You know, the pressure of what you wear, what your next movie is.
Scorsese, who had devoted time and effort to bring Edith Wharton's book to life, was not quite pleased with her performance. He was frustrated. He didn't want to improvise. He wanted total submission to the era, the dialogue, dressing, body language, and aura. But Ryder, who was too young, did not understand it that way. Ryder finished the film professionally, but there was a disconnect. She was not present in the movie's promotional push. She did not appear in any interviews, nor did she share experience with Scorsese, just silence. Besides the fact that the role bagged her a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress, the entire experience of working with Scorsese was life-changing. It would seem that their mutually beneficial collaboration wasn't just about making movie magic, but it took Ryder to the next level and proved that Scorsese's genius isn't limited to his famous crime dramas. Scorsese never worked with her ever again. No bitterness, no drama, they quietly went apart. Years later, during an interview, when asked about the movie, she called it intense and said she had learned a lesson. Scorsese is one director who likes to repeat collaborations he enjoyed working with, but for Ryder, he has already drawn the line, a closed door he never opened again. Up next, on number 3, we have Chris Hemsworth.
the Marvel-type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks.
Martin Scorsese is known for speaking his mind, but when he called superhero movies theme parks, it caused a storm. It was not just about Marvel films. He was questioning whether they were a real cinema at all. Those words stirred a controversy, especially for Chris Hemsworth, who became famous for playing Thor in the Marvel movie. Chris Hemsworth criticized high-profile directors and his fellow Marvel actors for bashing the superhero genre when it is beloved by billions. Since 2019, directors including Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, and Quentin Tarantino have criticized the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the superhero genre, believing they are not artistic and take up space that could be used by what they perceive to be better Hollywood movies. In recent years, their comments have been echoed by actors, critics, and fans as confidence in the film quality has dwindled, leading to what's been dubbed superhero fatigue.
The value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel.
Hemsworth, who starred as Thor in 9 Marvel movies, defended the franchise in an interview with the Times of London published on Sunday and said he thought the negative comments from high-profile directors including Scorsese and Coppola felt harsh. "It bothers me, especially from the heroes. It was an eye roll for me, people bashing the superhero space," Hemsworth said. "Those guys had films that didn't work too, we all have. When they talked about what was wrong with superheroes, I thought, cool, tell that to the billions who watch them. Were they all wrong? Superhero films kept people in the cinemas during that transition, and now people are coming back. So they deserve a little more appreciation," he said. Hemsworth was not trying to start a war, but it was obvious that Scorsese's words struck a nerve, especially because he respected Scorsese so deeply. Hemsworth stood up for all Marvel actors, stating that they put in just as much work as any other movie crew actors, so when people like Scorsese say it doesn't count as cinema, then it feels like all the hard work is being pushed aside. Hemsworth also admitted that those comments had shut down future collaborations between him and directors like Scorsese and Tarantino, even though he once dreamt of working with them. Hemsworth and Scorsese have never worked together, but the tension feels real because Scorsese's public comments were strong enough to build a wall between them. Scorsese did not back down. He even told GQ Media that the younger generation might grow up thinking that superhero movies are all that the cinema has to offer. To Scorsese, it was a thing of worry, but to Hemsworth, it was an insult to fans and creators alike. It became a public clash between old-school cinema and modern blockbuster culture. Scorsese stood firm on his belief, and by doing so, created a divide with Hemsworth, who was no longer a fan, but someone who felt pushed out. At number 2, we have Harrison Ford.
Proud of this sucker. I'm proud of this guy for what he done. What I done. He done made a script that done served the purpose, you know, and he done it good.
I need a banjo.
Yeah, you do.
In the mid-1980s, after The King of Comedy flopped at the box office, Scorsese found himself in a rough spot, and it disappeared from theaters within 2 weeks. Some even called it the flop of the year. Scorsese was frustrated and unsure of the kind of filmmaker he was. At the time, he was offered so many scripts, one of which was Witness, a crime thriller starring Harrison Ford. The film would go on to receive 8 Oscar awards, but Scorsese still would not direct the movie. Not because it was not a good film, but because it was not his kind of movie. He needed to believe in the story, and the movies he was getting just did not connect with him. The film passed through so many filmmakers and landed on his desk, yet he refused to do it. He grouped it with films he just could not relate to. Even with a star like Harrison Ford attached, he still did not want to do it. He was trying to get his movie, Temptation of Christ, off the ground, but that also collapsed.
I haven't been home for a long time.
Scorsese was lost, wondering if he had to change completely as a film director. He even admitted that he needed to go home because he was exhausted already. This was not the only thing that did not work out between Harrison Ford and Martin Scorsese. Years later, Scorsese wanted Ford to star in his thriller, Cape Fear. The movie starred Robert De Niro as a seeking vengeance on a lawyer. Acting as a remake of the 1962 movie starring Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, the movie was successful, although it isn't usually considered one of Scorsese's most coveted productions. However, the movie could have looked very different if Ford's request to go against the grain and play the villain instead of his usual good guy archetype had been approved. Ford wanted to play De Niro's violent character, but Scorsese was set on the actor playing the lawyer. With De Niro adamant that he wanted to play the bad guy, Ford stepped away from the project, with Nick Nolte playing the character instead. Ford told the Irish Times, "The only time playing the bad guy came up was when Martin Scorsese was doing Cape Fear. He asked Robert De Niro to ask me to play the lawyer, and I told De Niro that the only way I would be interested in doing that film would be if he played the lawyer and I played his role." Of course, he didn't want to give up his part. Scorsese didn't want to cast Ford as the villain. He wanted to keep the casting the way it was, so Ford stepped away from the role he was given and went to Nick Nolte. The film did well, but Ford missed the biggest collaboration between him and Scorsese. Scorsese proved how strong his creative control was by choosing what speaks to him, not what's popular. And to date, the two have never made a movie together. And finally, at number 1, we have Joe Pesci. Joseph Frank Pesci is an American actor, comedian, and musician. He is best known for portraying tough, volatile characters in a variety of genres, and for his collaborations with his best friend, Robert De Niro, in the films Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, and The Irishman. He has also received several awards. Pesci won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as the gangster character Tommy DeVito in Goodfellas, and received 2 other nominations in the same category for his portrayals of Joey LaMotta and Russell Bufalino in Raging Bull and The Irishman, respectively. The tension between these two was not because of an argument, but because of an emotional standoff that nearly ended one of the most iconic actor-director relationships. In Hollywood, these two built classics together, ranging from Casino to Raging Bull to Goodfellas. They made an enviable duo, but when the movie The Irishman came out, things did not go as planned. Scorsese envisioned Pesci playing the role of Russell Bufalino, a ruthless yet quiet mob boss who anchored the film's moral decay. The film was written with Pesci in mind, but when Pesci was offered the script, he declined. He declined again and again, more than 50 times. It wasn't ego, Pesci had just had enough of gangster roles. He had stepped away from acting years earlier and saw no reason why he should come back just to take up a gangster role. Scorsese, who was unwilling to let go, met him personally and even sent invites. He went as far as asking De Niro to call him and arranged private meetings as well, just to plead the case. During one of those calls, Pesci told him, "Marty, if I have to break someone's nose again, it better be yours." While there was an atom of sarcasm in it, the frustration behind it was real. Scorsese later admitted that trying to convince Pesci to join the cast broke him emotionally. During an interview, Scorsese told a reporter that you can't force Pesci. If he walks away, there's no getting him back, he added.
Really, he didn't want to rehearse, so I had to tell him, could you at least read it?
Pesci eventually agreed, delivering one of the most haunting performances of his career. But when filming ended, the collaboration ended as well. There were no plans for future roles, just a quiet goodbye between two men who had nothing to prove. It was quiet, no drama, no online tantrums. They went their separate ways. To Scorsese, attention to detail and precision are paramount. He had actors he loved dearly, but when it comes to acting, he puts sentiments aside just to make sure the movie is up to standard. These are the top 6 actors Martin Scorsese hates the most and cannot collaborate with again. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe for more.